Porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, a brand new project. It's an experiment. I've never done it before, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We'll just do it this 1 year. But if it does work out, I'm going to maybe make this an annual thing. So we do this every year. And it is the St Theo's Day watch party. Yeah. Now, the main reason I got the idea to do this actually is because I'm not going to actually be around for St Theo's Day, and indeed I wasn't last year, and I'm not going to be again. This is because of the timing of a conference I'm going to called Contact in the Desert, and because of this, for this reason, I missed last year's St Theo's Day, if you remember. Although I did actually make a reference to it on the day in the video, my video reportage of that conference called Ben in the Desert, and I will do in the reportage I'm going to do of the conference this year, but. Being away from St Theo's Day is something I don't like doing really, and ideally I wouldn't, but I do badly want to go to this conference, so I'm going to unfortunately miss St Theo's Day again. As for my brother and sister porters who live in the local area, I will make arrangements to do a belated St Theo's party for you, maybe in a month or so after I get back or something. All right, so for you porters who know me in the area. I will be in touch with you about that. So there will be a local St Theo's Day event, but unfortunately, in this special day, I won't be around. I won't be around to make videos, unfortunately. Now, so this is a kind of replacement for that. It's very similar to the watch parties we already do, except it's going to be different to those in the sense that the films I'm going to select, I mean, it's going to be the same format. It's introduction, review, live stream. So they'll do the introduction, leave it a couple of weeks, let you watch the movie we're talking about, and then after that there'll be a live stream so we can discuss it. And every single one of these films I'm going to be watching in the course of this project will have a hospital portering theme, and there are a number. Now there are not many, but I've identified like 7 or 8 of them, so it's certainly enough to keep us going for a number of years, possibly for my whole life. We'll see. It all depends how many years I've got left. With all the friends I've lost, it's like I do sometimes wonder that. But anyway, we've got enough to keep us going for quite a long time. Now, the film I've chosen for this debut, this premiere, this pilot, this experiment, is a film called The World's End. Now, a lot of you will think this is a bit strange, that you'll say, well, this is not a film about hospital portering, Ben, so why have you chosen it for the St Theo's Day watch party? Because all the St Theo's Day watch parties are going to be films which have a hospital portering element. Well, this does, I believe, have hospital portering themes. And now, if you may watch it and think, I can't see them, well, I will explain. In the review, I will explain it. In the live stream, we will discuss it. But I believe I would almost call this the ultimate hospital portering movie, actually. Even though, weirdly enough, it's not about hospitals or portering. There's none of the characters are hospital porters. So why, Ben? Why? Well, it'll all become clear. But anyway, this is a film it was directed by Edgar Wright, and it is written by Edgar and Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg is one of the main characters in the film. It is a science fiction comedy. And it's part of a series of films which are kind of it's described as the 3 flavors of Cornetto trilogy, or sometimes called the Cornetto trilogy. It's called a trilogy, but these are separate films, standalone, with their own characters, plot, and stories. And it's not like a series of films in that sense. It's not like a one story split over 3 films like my Roswell trilogy. Available at all good bookshops now, priced £10. Let's get that out of the way. Which is, of course, is the same story, which covers 3 separate books or mini stories, with each one fitting into the other. But this Cornetto trilogy, they all have a lot in common. They're all directed by Edgar Wright, and they all have many of the same. They have the same kind of style, and they have much of the same cast, actually. So if you look at the people who star in The World's End, this is the film we're going to see. Well, the 2 names immediately spring to mind. That's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. They actually are central characters. But a lot of the supporting cast also you find in the other films. So, for example, Paddy Considine. Paddy Considine is a supporting character in The World's End, but you also find him in is it you find him in Shaun of the Dead as well. He's in Shaun of the Dead, and is he in Hot Fuzz? Let's have a look. I don't know, but yeah, he is. He's not. Sorry, he is in Hot Fuzz. He's not in Shaun of the Dead. However, Martin Freeman is in all three. He's in The World. He plays a major supporting role in The World's End. He's also in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz as well, and in smaller roles. So he's in all three of the films. Now, I love all three of these films. They're all really good. They're all incredibly funny, incredibly witty. Really well worth watching. I mean, and they are historical. I mean, for example, Hot Fuzz is the last ever appearance, it's the last ever role of Billie Whitelaw, who's a classic English actress whose career dates back really to the dawn of cinema, or popular cinema in this country. So yeah, so they're all worth watching, I would say, and I recommend all of them. They're all probably equally funny and equally amusing. The World's End is the only one I would say I would call a hospital portering movie. And as I said, I'll explain why that is as it goes on. Now, the background to The World's End is interesting because Edgar Wright, he's a real prodigy, actually. He started directing at a very young age. And in 1995, he was just 20 years old, and he wrote a screenplay which he called Crawl, which is about a bunch of teenagers who go on a pub crawl. And he gradually added extra themes into it. You know, he thought he decided to see what happened if he made the characters like middle-aged, and then he decided to make it kind of a flashback story where these middle-aged men are recalling their childhood or their youth and things like that. And that's how this story came about. And they're very interesting characters. The characters are all, I won't say too much, I'll say more in the review, but this is why I think it is a hospital portering movie, despite the fact that it's not about hospital porters and none of the characters are hospital porters. I think it taps into, maybe unintentionally, I don't possibly that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg didn't intend this when they were writing it, but it taps into something fundamental in hospital portering culture, I would say. That's to give you a summary, and I'll say more, like I say, in the review in a couple of weeks. But there's some great performances by people, and it's as always, as with the other films, there's like the main characters, and there's the brilliant supporting, quite real charismatic supporting characters as well. There's the other guys, and there's his mates, and there's Martin Freeman. And there's Sam. Sam is she's the sister of one of them, and she's very good in it. And then there's Pierce Brosnan is in it. I mean, you get these kind of older, more staid characters in all three of these. For example, there's sometimes they're antagonistic, sometimes they're sort of dubious about exactly where they lie. But there's Bill Nye's character in Shaun of the Dead, and Timothy Dalton's character in Hot Fuzz. You're trying to get these kind of like these sort of older male, more mature and stable, or sort of, they're kind of like schoolmasterish or taskmasterish characters. In fact, Pierce Brosnan's character in The World's End is a school teacher. I think it's really great idea, actually, and it was filmed in a well. There were real pubs featured. This is about a pub crawl, as I've just revealed. And it's set around a pub crawl and all the comedy that results from that. And some of the scenes are real pubs, and indeed fans of the films have been to these pubs. Some of them are converted. Some of them are like converted other buildings. So, for example, there's one railway station was given a makeover and became one of the pubs. Another was a cinema. It's called the Broadway Cinema in Letchworth. This was actually converted into one of the other pubs as well for another scene in the film. All the outdoor shots were filmed in various parts of the home counties. So there's in Hertfordshire, Letchworth, and Welwyn Garden City were actually the outdoor scenes, but also High Wycombe as well in near me in Berkshire, including places I've been and you've seen. Now, the High Wycombe scene was actually the High Wycombe railway station, which I've shown you because I've been there. Now, if you like martial arts, I think you'll like The World's End, because it is, in a sense, in a way, it's kind of a martial arts movie. And indeed, the Jackie Chan stunt team actually tutored the cast in the fight scenes. There's some brilliant fight scenes in it, and Nick Frost in particular is very good in those fight scenes. It's obviously, I'll say more of this is not going to be a long video. It's going to be a short introduction, like I said, but I think if you've not seen this film before, I suspect if you like this channel, you'll probably enjoy it, because to like this channel, I think you have to have an open mind, you have to have an appreciation of the surreal, and you have to have a quite developed sense of humor if you like HPANWO TV. And if you like that, I think you'll probably like this film, and you'll see why it appeals to me. There's the hospital portraying element, which you may see. Let's see if you detect it before I tell you what it is. Let's see if you detect exactly why I think it's a hospital portraying movie, even though it's not technically. Let me know if you detect it. Let me know in the comments section if you think that. But even taking that away, there's the humor, there's the kind of camaraderie between the characters, there's the way they interact, there's the way they're all so different in different ways, and how they change over the years, and how, you know, old French. It's kind of like, one of the things of the film is that maybe something you experienced this, I have as well. It's one of the elements of the film, is when you meet up with somebody you knew when you were a kid. It could be a good mate of yours, or it could be the school bully. And you sort of look at each other and you realize, you know, we know each other, but we now have a totally different relationship. Do you know what I mean? That happens all the time in this film, all the time. And it's really interesting because it's something a lot of people can relate to. And there's so many like skits on the past. So, for example, there are, as I say, it's told partly in a kind of flashback mode. And there are like scenes in the past which are then repeated in the present. And there's elements where you, like, the past sort of comes back to haunt people. There's like a damage to the wall of the toilet. There's the fact that the landlord in one of the pubs knows one of the characters and says, "Get out, you're barred." Even after like 20 years, he still knows him and remembers him and says, "Look, I've still got your name up here. You're still barred after all these decades, and I know who you are." That sort of thing. It's just really funny. So please do go and enjoy the film. That's all I can say now. We'll discuss it more afterwards in the review and the live stream, which I'll give you a couple of weeks. Well, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks, so I'll give you that time, maybe, or maybe a bit longer, because I'll want to upload my reportage and do other things. So you've probably got three weeks to a month to actually get into this film, and then we'll get back together. As with the normal watch parties, what I'll do is there'll be a review where I will do a monologue about the film, and then there will be a live stream in which we will discuss it. So it's exactly the same as the normal watch parties, but I'm not including this as kind of my list of watch parties. So I'm not going to put links to. You'll notice in the description box there are no links to the previous watch party I did. That's the Jones Plantation one, because I consider this a separate project. What I'll do is, if I do this next year, then I'll put a link to this year's watch party in that one. But I want to keep these St Theo's watch parties separate. So they're special for St Theo's Day, and they're different because, of course, I do like to keep my hospital portering activities and my woo-woo activities separate. So, I mean, you may have noticed that already. Certainly on HPANWO Radio on my written work, you've seen that. So go forth and enjoy The World's End. It's an Edgar Wright film from 2013. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did, and I hope you spot those hospital portering themes. If not, I will be sure we will discuss them in the review and the live stream. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.